Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Real Recovery Talk. In this episode, it is just me. I am riding solo today. Ben is off doing some other things, so I wanted to record one by myself today. Thank you for watching on YouTube. If in fact you are watching on YouTube, I can't appreciate you more. I really am enjoying putting these out on video. And if you're listening on the podcast app, whatever podcast app that may be, really appreciate that as well. Leave us reviews, comments, whatever the case is. It does help us, and it gives us more of a drive to kind of keep going because we know that people are listening, and that's important for us. And in the end, if you have things that you want us to discuss or topics that you would like to hear, leave us comments, email us, tom@realrecoverytalk.com and ben@realrecoverytalk.com. We will get back to you, and definitely would like to correspond with you in some way, shape, or form. So anyways, into today's episode, I do a reading. I try to do it every single day, but a lot of times I miss. I'm a human. It's difficult sometimes for me to stick to my devotionals, but one that I definitely try and read all the time is it's one by John Maxwell, and it's called The Maxwell Daily Reader, 365 Days of Insight to Develop the Leader Within You and Influence Those Around You. So if you're interested, go ahead and pick yourself up a copy of that. And it's a devotional. There's a reading for every single day, and it really helps me. The book itself, or the devotional itself, is more for like business and leadership and stuff like that. But a lot of these principles that you find within the book can be carried into our recovery, our recovery space, I guess. But today's reading was all about taking initiative. Now, inside the reading, it's taking initiative for yourself and how you can, build off of having the initiative and how it can translate into your leadership position at work or at home, whatever the case is. But as I'm reading it, a lot of it, again, was kind of parallel to our recovery. And it breaks it down into some easy steps, and I just wanted to cover a couple of them for you because I think it can resonate with a lot of people, and it's very important. See, a lot of times when people get clean and sober, they just think, well, I'll put the plug in the jug and I'll stop using drugs and everything's going to be fine. Well, the problem with that, and you've heard me say it time and time again, with that type of attitude, it gives us what I call stale sobriety. And stale sobriety isn't worth having. I don't care who you are. I loved drinking. I loved using drugs. And I honestly had a lot of fun doing it. So I had to learn how to be able to stay sober, but also have fun. Because if I wasn't going to have fun, I wasn't going to stay sober. So it took some initiative on my end to get to that place. And so that's why I wanted to cover this topic in this episode. And there's a quote in the beginning of this reading that goes like this. It goes like this: even the right decision is the wrong one if it's made too late. Even the right decision is the wrong one if it's made too late. Now, John Maxwell refers to that quote. That's not his quote. That's somebody else. I forget the name. But it really made a lot of sense to me. See, especially if we're addicted to drugs and we're addicted to alcohol, a lot of times we know what the best decision is for us at that very moment. We know where we need to go or what we need to do with our life. But we have this addiction that is just crippling us, or this alcoholism that doesn't let us leave our house. And when we make the decision to do something, oftentimes it's too late. Too late in the sense of our sobriety may not thrive as much as it would have had we made this decision a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. See, a lot of times people end up making this decision after the fact when it's too late and maybe you've suffered a lot of health consequences. You've had a liver transplant, or you've developed hepatitis C from IV drug use, or your marriage went to hell and you lost your spouse and you lost custody of your kids, or, you lost your career. All these things that generally we hold so close and dear to us. Oftentimes, when we make that decision to get clean and sober, we've lost a lot of this stuff. So one of my biggest messages to people is to help them get to the place of making that decision before it is in fact too late. And the first thing that he talks about in this reading is we have to change our mindset. And a lot of times people lack initiative. And when you lack initiative, understand that initiative, it comes from the inside. It's not something that we generally are going to get from outside influence. It has to be from within. And a lot of times people wait for the right opportunity to make action or take action, when in fact we have to really dig deep and find the initiative inside of ourselves before we can have some sort of external motivation to get whatever said thing done. And so ask yourself, why am I missing out, or why am I lacking in the initiative to take these steps to get sober? A lot of times it is fear-based. See, doing what I do and speaking with the people that I've spoken with and working with the people that I've worked with over many years at this point, a lot of times people miss out on the opportunity when it is right in front of them. And oftentimes it is based out of fear. And fear is a very crippling thing for a lot of people, especially drug addicts and alcoholics. And there's many reasons why somebody would fear getting sober. But one of the biggest ones is just ultimately fear of uncomfortability, because if you were anything like me, when you got sober, you had 10, 15 years, 20, 30 years of heavy drug use, heavy drinking. We were comfortable. That was when we were most comfortable because we utilized these substances for everything. And so when we take that plunge to get sober, we have to understand that it is going to be uncomfortable. So with that uncomfortability comes fear of even taking the initiative. So I encourage people, you have to, and there's a guy that he's the owner of Think Media, and it's a YouTube channel that I personally love. One of his quotes is, "You have to punch fear in the face." And I couldn't agree more, especially when we're getting sober. Punch fear in the face. Understand, listen, it is going to be uncomfortable. There are going to be moments in which you really question if I'm going to be able to do this, but you have to get through that in order to get to the other side. So, what are some things that we can do to kind of combat that? And this kind of goes into another point that he had in the reading. Do you even recognize, or do you see the potential that you have when getting sober? And I oftentimes ask people, okay, let's just say you stop using drugs and you stop drinking and you do some sort of program, whether it be AA, NA, whatever the case is, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery, Just Get Sober Through the Church, whatever the case is. Do you see yourself as sober? And a lot of times they would say no, because they've never really even experienced sobriety, so they have no idea what it would be like. And so I help play that out with them. And I'll ask them, like, well, what are some things that you're good at? And, you'd be surprised at some of the answers. A lot of times people are good at trades, carpentry or some sort of mechanics or engineering. IT stuff. Some people just love animals, just being around other people. Obviously, answers are all over the board. So we have this inside of us. And so I really try and help people unpack what it is that we can see for ourselves and in the future whenever we do put down the drink and the drug. And what that will do, that will just kind of give you a little spark, something that will give you enough drive to take the first step to getting sober. And when we can do that and actually outline some small tangible steps that we can attain, this whole sobriety thing doesn't seem as big of a deal. See, a lot of times people just try and get sober on their own. They'll stop drinking, they'll stop using drugs, but they don't have anything that they're working towards. And if you don't have anything you're working towards, then you're going to not have any sense of accomplishment. And therefore, you won't have any initiative because you have no need for any initiative. You don't have a use for it. So you want to move forward, and you want to understand that when you are moving forward, understand that there will be some setbacks. That you won't always achieve the things that you wanted to achieve. That's just the nature of the beast. And one of the other things that he mentions in this reading is don't wait for the opportunity to knock at your door. And in the sobriety sense, I would say try not to wait for your wife or your husband to serve you with divorce papers before you get sober. Don't wait for your kids to say they want nothing to do with you before you choose to get sober. Don't wait until you get that hepatitis C diagnosis, or you find out that your liver is not repairable and you have to now have a liver transplant. Let's try and not wait for those things to happen before we take the steps to get sober. That is one of the biggest and most important things that I can tell people, because you hear inside the rooms a lot that, well, X, Y, and Z didn't happen yet. Well, all those yets will come. I promise you that. And when they do come, if you're not sober, they're very hard to deal with. And as these yets come, well, I didn't get arrested yet. Well, I didn't get a DUI yet. Well, my wife didn't leave me yet. Well, I'm still in relatively good health. Well, I haven't lost my job yet. It's not a fun place to be in. It really isn't. Those yets don't have to happen. And all we need to do is dig deep on the inside and figure out what are some tangible goals that I can set for myself? How can I dig deep on the inside to build up the motivation and the initiative to ultimately get where I want to be with my life? And when we can get there, it makes this whole sobriety thing so much easier. Don't go at it blind. Find people that you can rely on. Find a community of people that you can bounce ideas off of and share with them your goals and your ideas so they can hold you accountable. And do this with other people. That's one of the biggest components of this whole sobriety thing, is understanding that you cannot and you should not do this alone. So anyways, that is it for this episode. I got this reading out of the John Maxwell Daily Devotional book. Pick it up. It's pretty interesting, and add this to your daily reading. John Maxwell has tons of devotionals out there. I don't care which one you pick. I just so happen to pick this one again. It's John Maxwell, the Maxwell Daily Reader. You can pick this up and just read it. That's all I can say, is just read it and take some small steps, set some small goals for yourself, and ultimately help turn your mess into your message. Thank you for tuning in. We will see y'all later.